So we're gonna get started with Jody Britton and tell us a little bit more about the Early Learning Alliance Network. And I'm already very interested. I have already loved getting to hear various things that are being done for kids and school kids, especially during this very crazy time. So we'll give you about 15 minutes and be sure to save some time for questions. And let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, hold on just a second here. All right. There we go. Okay, let me switch my people view around here a little bit. It says speaker view is not working. Is it working? Okay, cool. All right. I'm trying to get, hold on. I'm going to stop really quick so I can get rid of those error messages and start again here so that I don't, there. Okay. Okay. All right. So here we are. I miss everyone. I have not been to my house in 68 days. It's been a very long time. We had my dad was diagnosed with brain cancer the day before, or about 3 days before all the schools went on lockdown. So we've been holed up and our whole family's been hiding. So we're in our cabin right now. And dealing with that. So I miss my office so much and I can't wait to get back, but I'm excited to see everybody. And Rob and I owe you so many emails, it's ridiculous. So those will be forthcoming. So we are up in Nexus and we love that space. Our organization really exists 100% to be the advocate and support for young kids and their families and their educators. Our mission, as you can see, is really 100% empowerment, advocacy, support. We are kind of best known for igniting conversations and building in opportunities that wouldn't exist if we weren't here. We were founded in 2017 by my husband and I. We are very tiny, but we are very mighty. We are 100% privately funded, which enables us to do a lot of great things for kids because we don't get stuck in some of the nuances of government funding and things like that. But we've done a lot. You know, we have over 400 preschools in our network right now. We're growing every day. I'm right now in Iowa, right on the Mississippi River, and some friends in Wisconsin and Iowa have found out that I'm here. So we're working on expanding to these states, which is fun. We do, you know, our outreach, considering all of this has happened in 2 years, it's pretty phenomenal. And I'm really proud of our team. One of the things that we've done very purposefully is create a lot of partnerships with local elected officials. And that's allowed us to do a lot of work, both for families and for kids, and really step up. And this is, you know, a lot of our parents say we step up when other people step out. And I'm okay with having that reputation. To give you a little bit about me and why we do this work, and then I'll tell you what we are and where we're going and how we're making some ripples and of change here. I've worked in education my entire life. First started at the age of 16, working as a paraprofessional in public education. Since that time, I've held just about every role you can have in K through 20. Some of my clients, I've been blessed beyond words to work with the White House with some of our top ed tech companies in the world. And I continue to do that work today. And it wasn't really until I had kids that I took a look at early childhood education. And one of the things that was shocking to me is that I had been all over the world on 6 continents, helping teachers and leaders and policymakers do all these incredible things in their schools. And I never stepped foot in a preschool until I had kids. And when I did, I had been just back from Dubai and helping launch one-to-one programs over there and really working on authentic work in the classroom. And then I walked in, and one of the preschools we went into for my son was had seatbelts for 2-year-olds, had a lot of worksheets starting at age 2. A lot of things that I thought, I can't run around all over the world and do these great things and not pay attention to what's going on at home. And that's kind of when this work started, because as I dug into it and kind of thinking about my own personal experience of what I was seeing, um, it really became quite clear. We have over 3 million kids under 5 in the United States. We have no systematic way to reach them. They are not part of any system unless it's a, family support service from the state, until they enter kindergarten. In Indiana, that's 7 is the required age for kindergarten, and kindergarten isn't even really required in our state. So we don't even have to touch these kids from a state perspective until they're 7 years old. There's so much that happens between birth and really 5 that's not good enough. We can't do it. Um, we have to be able to decrease enrollment times in kindergarten, get kids in the classroom, make sure that they're enrolling, make sure parents know that they need to enroll. We have the highest participation right now in our state in special education before the age of 5, but no one's really tracking that information until we came along. There's been our entire early childhood system, from pediatricians to policymakers to licensing agents. Everything's really been focused on compliance. And at the end of the day, our parents have all said, we need help. We're not educators. We're not doctors. We're not pediatricians. We don't know how to develop our kids. We don't know how to help our kids learn, especially right now when they're stuck at home with them and they have nowhere to go. They don't know what to do and they need help. And so, why do we do this work? Because we're solving these problems and we're solving them very strategically. Our top 3 priority areas are empowerment, data, and K through 12 transitions. And in the empowerment area, we really focus on STEM, early intervention, and parent education, really around learning. When we started this work, we very intentionally made a purpose to made an intentional choice to not replicate services. We don't want to do things other people are doing, and we're not. And our preschools are noticing. Really, what it comes down to, what we do, we have an amazing online presence. We have engagement from, I think, 34 states and 4 continents at this point, weekly, if not daily, which is wonderful. We have, like I said, just over 400 preschools just in Indiana that we support. We support them by providing professional development to their staff. We do networking and learn events where they can come in. We did our first one virtually, so that's online now. They can come in and really see face-to-face updates from the state Department of Education, from the state early childhood leaders, from vendors, from thought leaders. I am blessed beyond words to have the network that I do in education. And a lot of those people have never stepped foot in Indiana, but we're getting them there through the Alliance. We're scaling up very purposefully and intentionally. We spent the last 2 years trying to break our model, trying to prove like to me that we, I told the team, prove to me that we don't need to exist. I want you to try really hard to talk me out of this for 2 years. And all we kept finding out was, no, we kind of need to exist, which isn't a bad thing. So as we're scaling up, we're really thinking about countywide implementation. So that means that we have a countywide coordinator in place. We have a huge digital tool warehouse that our team has access to. Right now, we're running the digital dashboards and surveys for 8 counties to collect ongoing information from their families of young children during COVID-19 and how they're dealing with that. That's also being used in 3 other states. We have a remarkable system for connecting the human network around early childhood education. It is messy. In Indiana, you don't have to be licensed. There's all kinds of different pathways into this work for so many people, and we can't help them get better if they sit on an island by themselves. So we have a wonderful, tested, and and fine-tune process to really connect that network around them. We have a wonderful relationship with the Indiana Academy of the Indiana chapter of the American Academy of Pediatricians. We work with all of our mayors to support the Week of the Young Child every year. We are continually advocating for state and federal policy that really helps solve the problems back at home for us. We're getting into systems mapping where we're able to get everyone in a room that can help and support a child and map out how families can connect to those supports. It is not easy. And, you know, if we think about best case scenario, parents having a lot of kind of a hardship trying to get their kids into special education, into speech therapy, into an ABA center because they need some support for autism, into a mental health support situation. If an affluent person in a community that's well connected can't do that, what about the people that aren't connected, that might be illiterate? We do a lot of work to try and help those that are not so fortunate get access to the systems and supports that they need. We do preschool fairs in 3 different cities. At our last one, we had a mom come that's, she didn't speak any English. Her niece was with her, and her daughter was 2. Her daughter was not walking or talking, and no one had been able to translate the forms for her to date. In that second, during that preschool fair, which isn't a really big deal, but in that second, we could provide her with really quick solutions, tap into our network, and get her help immediately. So that systems mapping piece that we're doing is making sure that that system is so clean and so connected that we know exactly who to go to for help for those folks. We're doing a lot of localized data sets. We delivered our first economic impact report to the city of Fishers, and we're doing others right now to really let them know what the local impact is for early childhood. This is going to be probably, the next 6 months is going to be a big time for early childhood in terms of economic impact, because we have so many of our centers shutting down right now. They can't find people to come out of unemployment to work. They can't find people that want to really risk their own family's health and well-being to support other families. It is a difficult time. We have our own impact measures internally in Indiana, but as we reach out to every state, we're really customizing those impact measures, even at the county level, to make sure that folks are seeing the results of the Alliance, having a presence within their community. We come in, we build the relationships, we bring in all of our tools, we bring in this amazing network of national partners, and we go. And at the end of the day, what we're doing is bringing in, all kinds of opportunities for young children that wouldn't exist. We have some of our national partnerships right now. We have Osmo, early learning coding tools that we have available to our preschools that we lend out on a rotating basis. We have access to social emotional curriculum that we lend out on a recurring basis. We're trying to take away all the barriers. Anytime somebody says, I want to do this for my kids, and then they list the 10 reasons they can't, we knock those 10 reasons out of the way and get them what they need. Our financial model is really about replication, but because of my more national and international reputation, we do a lot of consulting, a lot of research, and a lot of advocacy. We're just starting to really fine-tune our partnership programs so that we can bring folks into our organization, and other organizations can bring us into theirs. So hopefully here in the next couple of months, we'll be able to finalize our partnership with a fairly large education group that's doing some really great work in STEM, so that we can be their main early learning partner around the country. We also have a companion LLC, which is very unique and very different. But our companion LLC is Mom Squad, and Mom Squad runs 100% to fund and support the Alliance. So we have revenue share in place. So everything that we sell in the first 2 years for the Alliance, we've been able to come out and provide the first ever in the country safety alert system for preschools. So that they're alerted by the police, just like a school would be, for child care centers and preschools. That's not happening anywhere else in the country. And we've brought it here and implemented it. From from an idea to actual implementation in about 18 months, which isn't bad. So that LLC is really focused on making sure that we innovate quickly. We don't mess around. We use technology to meet the needs of our families and our kids. And we take away the excuse of we've always done it, and we do it differently, and we get the job done. At the end of the day, our team is made up of folks that 100% do this work for kids. They do not do this work. We have a fairly high profile. Our organization is loved and feared at the same time, which I'm okay with, because we are allowed, we are advocates, and we do so much work on the behalf of our kids and our families. But our team right now is made up of women in Georgia, Florida, Arizona, Indiana, Illinois, and we just pull in kind of the best and the brightest and pull them together to do this work for our team. And it's working. Our website is ELAN. It's really earlylearningalliancenetwork.org, but you can do elanforkids.org and kind of get in there and dig around a little bit more. But we're pretty complex, but simple organization at the same time. At the end of the day, we do a lot of parent education, a lot of empowerment activities for parents and families in terms of helping them be better. We do a lot of engagement with our K through 12 community. We get people into kindergarten more effectively and more prepared, just from a community perspective, and we bring data along the way. So that's it. Let me go here and see if I can stop this.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a few minutes here.
No, you're good.
What kind of questions do we have from you all as we kind of dig into this? To me, it sounds like you're trying to describe a very big, fairly all-encompassing thing in a short period of time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. It is a heavy lift, but we have systematized everything. So to us, it's super simple. We make great things happen for kids and their teachers and their families, and that's about it. How we do that is the secret sauce. So
I have a question for you. My name is Joe. I'm the executive director for Playworks in Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. And so, I think I have been involved in ELAC and a couple other early learning committees and think groups across the state, and that in my past life. And then when I joined Playworks, we're mainly focused on K-12 schools and youth serving organizations. But recently, we've had an influx of interest from the early ed space in terms of our professional development and support. And so we're working in conjunction with the State Department of Health to provide some of that, and Department of Education, and blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And some private funders, et cetera. And I think what you say is very true, right? There's no organization statewide. And so it's very messy. What's the most important piece of advice you'd give an organization that, again, we name that it's not our bread and butter. We're measuring our impact and we want to understand that, but this is all about trying to meet a demand. So what is a piece of advice you would give to an organization just starting their work in early ed?
In early ed, look at what the kids need first. I think a lot of times that is so we get misguided because we try and go through these systems and structures and, like Early Learning Indiana, they come to our events, Child Care Answers comes to our events, ELAC comes to our events, and we try and bring them all together and tell a different story, and I think we get so sidetracked into these rails or these things of, how can we fit into the system? The whole problem is that the system is broken and those inlets lead you down the wrong path. The reason that we've been successful is because we have 100% done from a very research-based perspective and science-based perspective what's best for kids. And when you tell that story and when you have data for that story, pretty much every door opens, so for us, just to give an example, there's of our 400 and some programs that we work with, about 320 of them are not on any state list because they run off the grid, so if you go down that pathway, you're going to automatically jeopardize your market value, because there's more community than licensed centers in our state. But that would be it. I don't know if that helps or not, but I think we need to remain true to what our benefit is to kids and knowing your work and what you guys do. I know you have a benefit to kids, shout that damn message from the rooftop.
Well, you'll be happy to know that our contract with the State Department of Health, they specifically said they wanted us to try our best to engage as many non-licensed centers, ministries, and home centers as possible. So we were really excited about that.
If you need any help, let me know. We reach out. We have great connections with a lot of them. So
sure.
Yeah. What else?
Just a comment, Jody. Great job on implementing stuff, man. It's small but mighty. It's an understatement. That's amazing. The stuff you've done. That's cool. Very cool. Inspiring. Kudos.
So you had mentioned that it's you and your husband. Do you have any other team members, or is it still that small and that mighty?
I think she's frozen.
She does look frozen.
Or she's really good at sitting still. But yeah, she does have team members, I believe, like she named off a few states, Arizona, Illinois. Oh, she's reconnecting.
I'm here now. Go ahead.
Okay.
Did you hear Craig's question, Jody, about other team members?
No, I didn't. Well, and Jack, I just got cut off right at the beginning of what you were saying.
I was just saying kudos on implementation. Small but mighty is an understatement. So way to go. Great job.
Thank you.
And Joe, you were on TV last week too, I think. So that was really good too. Cool.
And I was simply asking about the size of your team. I assume by the amount of stuff that you all have done that it has grown since. So it's not just you and your husband.
We have 5 people on our team. And then we have 2, I guess I would call them advisors, one in DC and one in New York. And then we're all separated, but yeah. And my husband, I actually have, I've continued my own consulting, and my husband has his own business. So we kind of lead the troops, and, I'm good at fixing leaky systems more than anything. So that's what I focus on.
Well, awesome. I see you put the website in the comments. Definitely check those out. We're going to pass it off to you now, Terry, and give you the mic, give you the screen.
All righty.
Thank you, Jody.
Am I live? Am I sharing? All right. Jody, I just wanted to say that was amazing, the work you guys are doing. I will need to connect with you later. We're actually working on some research with Early Learning Indiana, so love to get your perspective on some of these things. My name is Terry, so howdy, how are you doing? Let's see. So I'm with a company called Collabo Creative, and we help organizations build fiercely loyal customers and teams. And so how we do this is, we'll get into that, but it's really about looking at people's experiences and digging deep into that so that we're able to connect business with people again, because sometimes it gets lost. So a little background about me, because it leads into why we do what we do. So I'm originally from the state of Hawaii, so some beautiful pictures for you. I love surfing. And how many of you have been to Hawaii before? Amazing. Okay, so did you love it? Was it great? Right. Did you feel welcomed? Did it have this kind of feeling like you just feel like you belong, people were nice to you, right? There's this kind of warm feeling, and people always talk about it as the Aloha Spirit, right? Yeah, there you go. Right? We talk about the Aloha Spirit, and a lot of times you think of aloha, they say it means hello, goodbye, and I love you, right? The way that I think about it is that aloha is a spirit, and it's an attitude, and it's really about how we welcome everybody. And it is that feeling of welcoming people in and building those relationships. And then we call extending who we call our ohana, or who our family is, right? And we don't see family as just my sister, my brother, my mom, my dad. This is a true fact. But if you go to Hawaii and you get close to some of the local folks, you'll be called auntie or uncle, because it's an extension of family, and it just signifies how strong our relationships are and how strong those bonds are and how we want to love on everyone, right? That's what Aloha Spirit is. And I love this image with all the, you guys call them flip-flops, we call them slippers, all the slippers, because it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what kind of work you do. It doesn't matter what you look like. We all wear the same kind of shoes, and we all take them off at the door, right? We're all the same, we're all equal. And that's what aloha means to me. Now, I bring this up and I talk about this because how many of you have worked in like a corporate setting? Anyone? No corporate? Okay. And how many of you felt burned by corporate life? A lot of times, right? A lot of people feel burned by corporate life. It's just like, oh, you feel like you're just a number. You feel like you're a workhorse maybe, or maybe you're just like sitting in these awful meetings and you're just like, oh my gosh, when's the day going to be over? And what about as a customer? Have you ever felt like just a sale, or they just want to get your money? My favorite thing right now is they're always trying to upsell you. And I'm just like, I try to get me to buy the first thing before you sell me on all of the other things, right? But you just feel like a number, and we lose that connection, that relationships that we need to be building between companies and people. And that's why I do what I do. And that's why our company does what we do. Because essentially, I used to work in an institution, and I was told to my face that I was treated like a second-class citizen. And I was just like, wow, okay, well, that's good to know. And it's not right. Like the way that companies and the way that businesses are starting to treat people is not right. And a lot of times, what are the common solutions to, like, if you're having a bad experience in your company, or if you're having a bad experience as a customer, what should you do? Start a new company, right? Start a company, go off on your own, do your own thing, or find a new business, right? Work with somebody else. Well, we believe that businesses must do better, because as much as the world needs entrepreneurs and as much as we need more businesses, which is fantastic, we also need good businesses. So what we do is we help businesses do better, be better at serving the people that they should be serving. And so we want to work with companies that want to serve people better, from their customers all the way through to their team members. And that's what we look at: customer experience and team member experience, and how are we blending the two so that everyone can have a more ideal and joyful work life. Because really, we spend at least half our lives working, right? We should enjoy that. And as a business or an organization, you should be providing better service to your team members, your employees, as well as your customers. So that's what we do. So I can tell you how we do this, right? But the best way to always explain something that can be a little abstract is to tell a story. So I'm going to share a story of one of our larger organizations that we work with, that we've partnered with, and we've been partnered with them for probably about 3 or 4 years now. Now, they came to us originally because about 4 years ago, they had a aging volunteer base, right? So they're a nonprofit, and so they depend on volunteers, and that volunteer base was aging out because the demographic of their volunteer base was women in their 60s, right? And so it's only going to be so many years before you have no more women. They're going to be women in their 70s and then 80s, and then you have no more elderly women. So they needed to get younger, I don't want to say blood, get younger volunteers into their volunteer base so that they can constantly be renewing, and then also integrate their experienced volunteers with new volunteers. But that was the challenge that they were experiencing. So what we did was we initially helped them to first dig deep, because the first thing you need to do if there's a problem is to understand the problem, make sure you know what's going on. So we helped them to do some research by we don't do surveys, we don't do a lot of quantitative studies. We do very deep, engaged insights research. So we are meeting with people one-on-one. We're doing interviews. We're observing. We're shadowing. We do a lot of the qualitative research that is time-consuming and no one wants to do. That's the work we do. And so what we found was they were initially, by just looking at what they were doing, working internally with their team, modeling their process, and then talking to a lot of their volunteers who have come on or who have left, we found that just looking at their process, they were losing 40% of all interested volunteers. So somewhere in their process, there was a pinch point, and 40% of all the people trying to enroll were just being lost. And they had no clue, they had no idea. So we identified that point, and it was easy, right? Low-hanging fruit, fix that, and then immediately they saw a boost in that enrollment. And then the next thing we were able to identify is by talking to people, you start to find out why they do the things they do. This is something that quantitative research doesn't tell you the why. So we were able to understand why people volunteer and what kind of volunteer needs they had. And so they needed to actually create a new volunteering model because what they had established was not working for people. They didn't want to volunteer in that way. So of course, the company then was like, okay, thanks for the insights. We'll create a new volunteer product. So that's what they did, new volunteer product. And of course you would think that should be the end of the story. New volunteer product, got more volunteers, but no, they ran that and it was horrible. So they ran the new product, they brought in a corporate sponsor, a national sponsor, ran it for the first time, and it was a dismal failure. Their sponsor was there in representation, and they, verbally told the CEO, this was a disappointment, you need to improve. So they had a week to turn it around because they had to run it again the following week. So what we did was we helped them through doing a design sprint and experience prototyping. Within a matter of 7 days, they went from dismal failure to being able to have their corporate representative there the next weekend, and they were amazed. The turnaround that happened, that they had said, this is impressive. The way that you were able to receive feedback, improve upon it in 7 days, and turn this completely around 180 is amazing. And then to top it all off, their engagement scores from volunteers for that event was 98%. So from what we heard from him, he was just like, that's unheard of in the volunteering area. Like in volunteer areas, you don't get 98% satisfaction from volunteers. So they were super excited about that. And then so the last thing, because they're on this train, they're moving forward, we want to make sure that we're helping them build that capability in-house, because as much as we love working with people, it's kind of the same thing. We don't want to have to exist, because if companies are able to make their cultures more collaborative and creative, we shouldn't have to be there, right? We want to work ourselves out of a job, which doesn't sound capitalistic, but that's what we want to do. And so our whole goal is, now we've been working with them for 3 years now, just building this culture of collaboration and creativity. And they're getting recognized now from their national organization as an innovative launching ground for new ideas. So it's awesome because it's here in Indiana, right here in Indianapolis. We are the testing ground, or for this organization, this is the testing ground for them to test new ideas out, because their team is able to be more collaborative and creative. And that's why we call ourselves, or people call us, Collabo Creative. So now that I've given you that story, here's what we do. We do insights research, and that's qualitative. Like I said, we do qualitative research to dig deep and get to the root of issues before you try to solve the problem. And then once you have those insights, a lot of times you got to change things. So how do you change things? Well, that's where we do these solution sprints, which is a design thinking approach that enables teams to innovate with velocity, right? Speed and direction, so that you're not just throwing things all over the place, but you're actually moving forward very quickly and with intention. And then the last thing is, we want to build you up. make sure that you build that internal capacity so that your teams and organizations can thrive, right? Not just strive. And that's me. So if you want to learn more, I would invite you to give me a call. My number's not there, but send me an email or visit our website.
Awesome. So as we go ahead and leave your screen up just for a little bit, and we'll get the information here in the comments. But what kind of questions do we have for Terry?
So Terry, could you promote your YouTube channel a little bit and your content that you have out there?
Oh yeah, sure. Thanks for asking. So in order to, because our whole approach is about providing tools and skills, right? We want to help give people what they need in order to improve these skills. And so we have a YouTube channel. It's called Collabo Creative. So if you just go to YouTube and search Collabo Creative, we should come up. And we do a weekly, it's about 5-ish minutes long, just a weekly video on tips and tricks to improve creativity and collaboration in both business and life.
And what's the address for that YouTube channel? How can we find you?
So YouTube has this thing where if you don't have 100 subscribers, you don't get a nice YouTube link. So I have this horribly awful YouTube link, but I can copy it and paste it.
Yes.
Okay.
Copy it and paste it, put it in the comments, and maybe we can all subscribe and get you to that 100.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Excellent.
So Terry, I have actually a question and a comment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very interested how you are able to convince leadership to give you the time and resources to do a truly qualitative research. Because I have to imagine I'm in a very similar boat with what we do, and that can be very difficult. So I'm curious on how you overcome that maybe pushback that you might get.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, because absolutely we meet the same kind of challenges, right? And I think more so than anything, it's finding the right leaders. So as much as I'd like to say I can convince any leader that they need this qualitative approach, the truth is they have to see it for themselves. Mm-hmm. So some of the questions that I'll ask though is usually what kind of research they're doing right now, and how are they making sense of that research, right? How are they finding insights about that? So one study that we actually just wrapped up, this was looking at employee engagement. So this company was dealing with extremely high turnover, and they had all the studies. They had all the surveys. They have the engagement surveys, they have the exit surveys, but they couldn't figure out why people were leaving. And when you look at all the data, it said we leave because our pay is too low. So what did they do? Increase their pay by $3 an hour. What happened? Did people stay? No, they actually increased that turnover rate by doing that. And so they didn't know what to do. So they asked us to come in and take a look at what was going on. And what we found, the insights that we found go so much deeper than pay, right? It was actually about the lack of connection and support in the first 2 weeks of work. Like that's what was happening. And that's why people were leaving. People were leaving because they're crying on the job because they're being left there without any support, but nobody's listening to them, right? And so it's hard to deny when you don't have the answers. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the question. Those are the questions I ask. It's just like, well, what insights are you gaining from your data? Does that help?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, our research shows the same thing. People don't leave for pay. The other thing the comment I wanted to make is, a few years ago, I read in Harvard Business Review, I think it was, or there's a very famous saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast. Mm-hmm. And I love that. But somebody suggested a different way to think about it. And as you were describing what you do, this is what I heard, is that culture does eat strategy for breakfast, but really what you want to have happen is for strategy and culture to go to lunch. Mm-hmm. And that they actually come together. And that's what I hear what you're doing is merging those two so that the development of your culture becomes part of your strategy and becomes more of a tactical type approach as you put those two things together. So I say 2 thumbs up.
I love that saying. I'm going to have to steal that. I'm going to have to borrow that from you. I will quote you on that.
I can't find the paper or the research on it. I've been looking for it for a week, and I can't find it. It's not an original thought to me, but I wish it was.
Well, if you do, please send it over. And it's funny that you mentioned that. So if you do check out our YouTube channel, our video drops every Wednesday. So the video we recorded this earlier on, it's just serendipitous, but the video that we'll launch tomorrow talks about culture and strategy and how culture informs strategy.
That's perfect. That's awesome. I think I found the right link. I went ahead and put it in the comment section. And yeah, boy, as soon as we all jump off of this call, let's give a subscribe, and I'd love to see you push you over that 100 here soon.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well, awesome. Any other questions? I think I've got all your information down there, and by all means, let's stay connected. John, I think you'll wrap us up for today, and I'll give you the screen and give you the mic.
Can you all see my wonderful PowerPoint cover page there? You see it? Okay, good, excellent. Okay, so my name is John Sweeney, and I'm with an organization. We're not a small company. We are a nonprofit. We're called Tooling U, as in Tooling University, SME. I live here in Indianapolis. We've got people all over the country. SME has been around since 1932. We're part of the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, and some genius, who in my mind isn't a genius, decided we should become SME. Roxie and I had a conversation, and SME to me, and some of you in the learning community, it's subject matter expert, but we'll let them have it. It's okay. So anyway, what we are all about more than anything is really advancing technology for manufacturing and manufacturers, and not only promoting and advancing technology, but also the people. And that happens through education and a number of different things I'll share with you here briefly. So there's 5 different components of what we do. We host a number of very large and in the manufacturing community important events, trade shows. There's one in Chicago that we're a big part of that probably brings close to 100,000 people. There's smaller ones all over the country that are maybe laser focused on advanced manufacturing technology and processes like what they call additive manufacturing or 3D printing, which is extremely important right now. You're seeing a lot of it with people that are converting their manufacturing processes for things like printing masks, et cetera. And so we host those and bring people together to talk about what's happening in the industry. We've got lots of membership organizations, chapters across the country. We have a number of digital and print publications that talk to different things that are happening in the manufacturing community. And then in the education space, we are working with close to 600 schools across the country, universities, primarily community colleges and high schools. And we have, you see there the Prime logo. That is a, let's call it an offering where we bring together content, manufacturing companies, and high schools and money together to build back up a lot of the vocational programs that used to be in schools. It's very expensive to get the equipment into the high schools, to get the content, and to train up teachers to teach kids what they need to know to succeed in manufacturing. So last year alone, we brought on 12 new high schools into the program. We've got 60 now across the country. There's actually 3 of them here in Indiana alone. And last year we spent or gave about $2.5 million into that program. Over the years, it's closer to about $25 million. The Education Foundation, and so we are a nonprofit. Now, the part of the group that I work for is a revenue generating group. But the revenue that we generate goes right back out the door to support the Prime program, and then in the form of scholarships. I think last year we gave out 587 scholarships to kids, people that were going into some form of education, and we gave close to $2 million in scholarships going back out for people that want to get some advanced training that way. The group I work for, the Tooling U, is the workforce development. So my group, there's actually 2 separate groups within our business unit. We have an entire group of people that are focused strictly on community colleges and high schools. And we take our content, and you can imagine that they can't take a breath. They've been literally working 7 days a week for the last 2 months, trying to get content put together in some sort of curriculum that can be given to schools who previously didn't have it. As I mentioned, we've got relationships already with about 600 schools, but that's just barely scratching the surface. My group, if you've ever seen the show How It's Made, that's me every day. I get to go to manufacturers all over the country or all over the Midwest and talk to them, see things being made. Everything's from body parts, literally, a lot of the medical manufacturers we have, to RVs, to parts that go into automobiles. And it's in me. I have a lot of fun. I won't spend a lot of time on this slide, but we really engage in a lot of different ways. We leverage that 80 years of experience. What really makes us different is our DNA is in manufacturing. One of our founding members was a guy named Henry Ford, and we've had a lot of folks that are from and in manufacturing that help us to build the content, the online classes we have. It could be we have over 100 instructor-led classes, close to 600 online classes. We do a significant number of webinars and other types of things like that. And the partnered approach simply means that it's not a one-size-fits-all. A big part of what we do is having those qualitative conversations and understanding what the business drivers are for putting together a training program, and then we make recommendations for content, for delivery modalities, and things like that. Something that I found very interesting, and I'm sure you guys are seeing it as well, is first, turnovers is horrific. I've got a customer I had a conversation with this morning. They get a significant number of their new employees from employment agencies, and they have over 50% turnover by the second day. So they're coming in the door and they're walking right back out, and they're not coming back. There is, and I'll share a slide here in a second, the data shows time and time again that turnover is just killing these employers. And although everybody is excited about all this success that we were seeing in manufacturing, the problem is we don't have anybody that can do the job. Yes, sir. How far am I in already?
That's your 1 minute, but you just keep on going.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So anyway, and then we're struggling with retirements as well. There was a paper out very recently that a lot of people that were laid off or furloughed that might be my age or older, they're not going to come back to work. And that's going to make the problem even worse. And the cost of turnover is significant as well. So those are the problems that we're attacking. I'll speed up here a little bit. Terry, you had mentioned that compensation is not why people are leaving. Here's data to support that. Work Institute, this is an amazing study, that only 10% were leaving because of, less than 10, were leaving because of pay. What we saw and what their data shows is that close to over 20% were leaving because there's no growth. There's no job security. There's nothing there for them. And especially true for millennials and the new generations, when they walk in the door, they want to know how I'm going to get from here to there. And if you can show them that, you have a much better chance of keeping them. And that's how we approach our customers. There's the new learning modality. Again, I've got a bunch of educators on. You probably have seen the tried and true model of 70-20-10 for that OJT, the mentoring and the coaching, and then the classroom. And what we're doing is we're flipping it and really spending a lot more time on standardized OJT, on the mentoring, and less so in the classroom. This is my favorite meme of the year. You probably have seen the Batman slapping Robin before. And then this year it's with this extended pole. And I use this to kind of just be funny and break it up a little bit, but really working with your customers to have a plan. How am I going to get from here to there? And the presentations I've seen over the last couple of weeks and again today, that's what I'm seeing is you got to have a plan. Listen, where are we, where do you want to go? And now let's build a plan to get there. Let me see, I got a couple more slides here. I won't spend time on those. We'll skip that. These are the things that we work on a lot is job descriptions. A lot of customers don't have good job descriptions. And then building career pathways is how do I get from onboarding and having a structured onboarding program, not an orientation program, but an onboarding program to get that person their time to competent as short as possible so that they are not costing you money, they're actually making you money. And building structured career pathways as well. Here are the different areas that we focus on. I mentioned about actually now close to 700 or over 600 online classes. We've got over 100 instructor-led courses. We're now getting into a lot of webinars. One of the things that we build are OJT programs or instructor-led, but now being able to do that in a COVID environment and using modern technology to have an instructor 6, 10, 15 feet away and your student performing the tasks with a GoPro. And now the instructor can watch them doing it or can tape himself or video himself doing it correctly and using those types of technologies to validate skills or knowledge. So we're doing a lot of that right now as well. Let's see here. And the obligatory corporate slide that brags on all your customers, here's some of them. We're actually doing business with in excess of 50% of the Fortune 500 manufacturers, over 5,000 manufacturers anyway, and companies ranging in size from small mom and pop manufacturers here in Indiana to really large organizations that are more global in scale. And that is my really long elevator speech. That's all I've got.
So I'm gonna throw your information in the comment section. So one question that I have is, as far as the learning that you're providing, are there opportunities for like shadowing others or hands-on learning where they can kind of go into those facilities and I don't want to say intern, but. So
yes and no. So that is up to the individual manufacturers. Mm-hmm. So really what we're doing is in that high school or at the community college, we're working to help them get the content, the curriculum that they need, and then partnering them with those local manufacturers, maybe to set up a job shadowing or a mentoring type program. But we're also working with several states and the U.S. Department of Education on registered apprenticeship programs as well. Mm-hmm. So that traditional apprenticeship model that you see out there, we're very much involved in identifying what they call related technical instruction, the knowledge piece, and then the skill demonstrations as well. And we get those written down, approved by the state or by the federal Department of Education, and then putting those into some kind of structure. Structured training in a skilled labor position is extremely important because you want everybody learning the same things, right? And all being measured the same way as well. It's very important. But getting there requires a lot of qualitative time as well. It's quantitative, but it's also very much involved in getting some quality time with those supervisors and leadership as well. So we.
Excellent. We've still got just a few minutes. You were under your time. I'm not making any comments about the previous presenters, but you were under your time. But we've got time. So any other questions that we have for John?
Well, I did want to mention one other thing that I forgot to as I was trying to speed through some of those slides. You know, if you're at all interested, we've got a number of webinars that we're doing right now that are related to obviously manufacturing related subjects, but like lean certification or design for manufacturability, those types of things that are way over my head. But we've also done them on structured onboarding programs, which I think might fit with some of the presentations I've heard. Is and what I like is the gentleman from our team that leads those, he's not selling. It is an educational webinar about the model of a structured onboarding program or cross training, and speaking to the business reasons why you want something like that. And he's not selling us at all. In fact, I don't even think he mentions our company name as he's doing it, which I love. Even as a sales guy, I absolutely love that. He's educating and he's talking about from that. So we got that. And then on our website, and I can give you the link if you want it, we've got a whole number of podcasts that speak to different types of things like that. That's part of the beauty of working as part of SME is much of what we do isn't selling SME or tooling you, it's training the world in the industry about the importance of apprenticeship programs, of structured onboarding programs, of career development plans, of some of the things some of you guys were talking about. And I think the model in itself doesn't have to be about manufacturing. It could be about any industry, really. It's that model. And one of the things I'm very proud of that our organization does.
So this is the, I want to make sure I've got this right. This is the resource section of your website. You mentioned podcasts and webinars.
Yeah, it's actually, I wrote it down because I was actually there today. Where did I write it? Well, I'll send you the link.
Yeah, if you could shoot that in the comment section, that would be great. I mean, now is a perfect time. I don't know about all the rest of you, but webinars and podcasts and things that you can sit and consume at home, just kind of gobbling those up. So that sounds like a great resource.
You were right. It is in the resource section.
Cool. Okay. Well, we are at time. So want to give a thank you to our presenters and really appreciate learning more about you all. I'm going to do my best to have these up on the YouTube channel sometime tomorrow. It might be a day later than that because I have my first shoot scheduled in 2 months tomorrow. So I'll work to get these up as quick as I can.
Would you like a promo for next week?
Yes, please. Thank you, Roxie.
You're welcome. So we have 2 presenters confirmed for the 19th. So Nancy Sunshine with Rainmakers. I attended one of their webinars today. I highly recommend everyone take a look at their website. Terry's shaking her head. Yes, I saw her there today. So take a look at what they offer and look forward to hearing from Nancy. I mean, who could not look forward to someone named Nancy Sunshine? Our second presenter is our very own Robin. She will be chatting with us next week as far as Nexus and things to come. So I am looking for my 3rd confirmation and hope to get that set up for Robin too, so she can promote everybody for the next show and tell. So it's been a pleasure working with all of you. So thank you all for coming.
Thanks, Roxie.
Yeah, thanks, Roxie and Craig. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you all.
Thank you to all our presenters. It was great.
See you later.
Yeah, thanks for putting it all together. It was awesome.
Bye.